Hi guys, I want to first of all say hello. Hope everything is well. Hopefully you enjoyed my awkward hand in that one. um, but I want to say hello to you guys, and I wanted to welcome you to our discussions of COVID Chronicles. All right, this right here, I'm going through COVID. That is why we are not in our usual traditional setup. Um, but I am FaceTiming our guest, and we are able to have these conversations. Right now, I'm about to dive into a conversation with my friend, somebody who I love very much, Nadia. Say hello to my friend. My dad calls him No Way Jose. So, love my dad, and yes, I am in his office right now. When I get my own office, I will have made it in life. Um, but I will be in this conversation privileged to be talking to a dear friend, Nadia. She's an artist, she's a singer, but she's such a beautiful human being, and I can't wait for you guys to meet her. Please leave comments, questions, concerns, anything that you want to put in the comment section. I welcome all of it because you guys are super awesome. I wouldn't be here without you guys. I love you guys. Thank you for all the downloads, all the subscriptions, all the tune ins, everything that you do. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. Visit us at www.ourgodwillsaveus.com for any donation you want to make, any purchase you want to make. Please feel free. I'm excited. I love you guys, and I hope to see you later. Peace out. Hi, guys. I want to welcome everybody to the Ambition Podcast with Israel Zapp. This is a podcast where we get to talk about social issues, we get to talk about culture, church culture, we talk about art, we have the conversations that a lot of you wish you had. And we love to start those because we want those things to continue with you guys. We love you guys. And if you want, please feel free, comment, subscribe, complain, question. I've gotten a lot of complaints already, so it's awesome. We're getting the smoke. We are getting the smoke. Please
Yes,
email
half of
me.
the complaints were from me. All your dislikes are from me.
Yeah, that's actually, that's probably accurate. I haven't checked my email. I'm kidding. Please email me at ogwsufg@gmail.com if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or put them in the comment section. We love to have them. Follow us on Instagram at ogwsu. We would love to have you. And please share the podcast. It helps us out a lot. On iTunes, rate and review. We're new to iTunes. Please help us out. Without further ado, I have this guest. I think we just met this year, so you are a new friend. You are an artist. You're a singer. You also design your own music videos, and you also do your own stuff. So super awesome. I want to please welcome Nadia Shock slash Daft Dutra slash the greatest 209 artist we got. So
The queen, the
the
one and only. Hello.
the Queen of Stockton, ma'am.
Yes. Oh, that's not a reputation I don't want to live up to. So
Hey,
please
you're making Stockton better with your art. You're making Stockton better. Let's keep it that way.
making Stockton great again. Nadia Trump.
Jose, edit that part out, please. I'm just kidding. My goodness. Well, we have kind of survived the election. How are you feeling? Is your household like kind of extremely political right now, or how's it going for you?
Well, I've always grew up in kind of like a political family. I think
Hmm.
in 2016 is when me and my dad really got into politics.
Right.
And I was sharing my politics a lot, but then I realized that some of the politics that I shared, it hurt kind of a lot of friends and people. So I just kind of tend to keep politics to myself.
Right.
But my family during this election, girl, we were all like, we're going to die. In like 2 weeks. We're all going to die. But it was my first time voting, so I was very excited about that because I just turned 19. So yeah, it was my first time voting.
Well, first of all, congratulations on voting in our democracy that, is apparently being questioned at the moment. But, congratulations on that. I remember I did a podcast with our friend Andrew and Deweeza a couple podcasts ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I asked him, I'm like, what do you think's gonna happen at the end of this election? I think the world is gonna end, you know? I think the world's probably gonna blow up. We're gonna get nuked. I don't know, but
Yes.
we survived. And then I got coronavirus, so I don't know if I've considered surviving or not. We are in the middle of COVID Chronicles right now. You are the
COVID
first.
Chronicles. Oh
you
my God, what episode are you on?
you are the first guest for our COVID Chronicles, so you will
Yes, an
you
honor.
dude, I am honestly I wouldn't have another first guest. You are actually going to be debuting this Wednesday for COVID Chronicles. So,
Yes.
how do you feel to be on my slimy podcast like.
I love the fact that you put me as the face of a virus. You know, that's what I love. Very honored to be the first guest of COVID Chronicles because I
Yes.
think I'm just like a disease to you, like a virus. You know, I'm honored.
You
Thank
are a
you.
disease. You're a disease of love, and I love that. So,
Oh,
so
so
I want to get into your singing career. That is, how long have you been doing this? Because you have been an artist for at least throughout our friendship, but you've been an artist longer. So how long is this going on? Like what? How long? How long have you been doing it?
I've been just like being even a little girl. I would just put on shows and performances for my family, just singing. I think what really got me into singing was High School Musical and Hannah Montana.
Really?
Yeah, I love to sing, and any chance that I can get, I would just put on a show for like my grandma or like at family parties, like
Hmm.
just being really little and singing. I just love to sing, and then I recorded my first song ever, which was Sea Salt,
Oh wow.
and I wanted that gone. It's not on the internet anymore,
Dang it.
but
All right.
it's on iTunes somehow. I don't know how it got there, but it's there.
Okay.
So yeah,
I'm definitely gonna search that up. I'm gonna search that
absolutely.
up.
Do as you will. I warned you.
So you started out young, starting shows for your family and possibly close friends. Where did it actually kick up to where it's like, this isn't just what I did as a little kid, but this is what I want to actually do um, throughout my life?
It's just my imagination is so big, and when I have an imagination or a dream about something, I tend to make it a reality. And there was just never a time where I was like, I want to work a 9 to 5 for the rest of my life. Like, since just being little, I just always had this passion of just being. I want to perform. I want to sing. I want to dance. I even did theater. I loved theater in high school
Right.
because being on stage, I just loved it. And a lot of the theater kids would be like, girl, I don't know how you just get out there and do it. The stage it feels like home to me. I've never felt like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous. Like, if anything, I'm ready. Like, I want to be on stage. I don't know. Like, that's just the way I was born. Like,
Hmm.
there was a spotlight on me when I was coming out of my mother being
Right.
born. Like, it's just, I love being the center of attention, but not in a bad way.
Right.
Just showcasing my talents is what I mean.
You are really made for the limelight. You're made for the stage. I feel like you have I feel like you have a level head on your shoulder, especially in my my interactions with you when we kick it and whatnot. You're not you're not an all about me girl. You're actually very humble, but you know who you are, which is
Yeah.
awesome. You may not know your taste in tacos, but you know.
They were Nadia Shock approved. That's all we need to know. Those tacos is probably because I'm really hungry, but
Probably.
they're good.
Okay, so for all of our viewers and listeners who do not know, about any taco story that I have shared, we went to this taco truck in Stockton, and I really wanted to try their tacos. And when I bit into it, it was the worst thing I think I actually spit out the bite that I took because it was terrible. And then I look at her, I'm like, how's yours? And she's like, they're Nadia Shock approved. And I'm like,
When I tell you I was tearing those tacos up, they were good.
Yeah, I don't know if Nadia Shock approved. You probably like Taco Bell, all right?
I
I'm,
do. You
I'm
know
just
what?
kidding.
I don't eat it. Listen, I don't eat any fast food except for Taco Bell and Carl's Jr. I love
Wow.
Taco Bell cheese gordita crunch with no lettuce and a cantina burrito with no lettuce as well. Kind of defeats the whole purpose of a cantina burrito, but trust me, try it without lettuce. It's really good. I love Taco Bell.
Can I get a cantina burrito? Sounds like a a beautiful huerita. It's awesome. I loved it.
Oh,
Hey,
good.
but now that you've continued, because you have, as far as I know, you have a good amount of singles out there. I was just listening to your recent one. It was you, the music video with what's the name? Starts with a B. Starts with a B. Yes, I was listening to that song. I love that song so much. Talk to
Yeah.
me. What was the process of writing that song? How did you get to that part where you wanted to dive into that?
Well, if anybody really knows like my music taste, it's not really what. So the song is called "Heartbreak in Autumn." It's
Yes.
kind of like a trappy kind of rap kind of beat, and I used to rap back in the days, and because I grew up around rapping, my dad was a rapper, and so I just grew up around music all my life, and so but then I started taking a dive into more of my singing, and I completely just forgot about rap. And then when I heard that beat, I was like, this is something that like my music sound now. It doesn't really fit it, but honestly, I'm one of those people. I don't like to be kept in a box. I like to just go out and adventure. So I was like, dude, I can. Let's just play with this right now. And during that time, I was going through a really tough heartbreak, which you know about, and
Hmm.
I still am going through it. So that time, I was just like, I need something to just speak out about or just unbottle my feelings. And
Sure.
I heard that beat, and I was just like, let's play with some auto tune. Let's just do kind of like a rapping kind of choir, big choir effects. So that's what I did for the chorus, and it turned out absolutely beautiful. Yeah.
You did such an amazing job with that song. All right. It really it unveiled really your heartbeat and what you were, you're currently going through.
Yeah.
As many people, I don't think many people would have the courage to
Mm-hmm.
put out a song about what they're currently feeling, let alone sit down and write it in such an artistic way. One question I had to ask, like this is a big one for me. Why a skate park? Are you a skater? Like, do you love it or?
Well, for me, like I said, my imagination runs wild. I
Mhm.
knew about where I wanted to shoot the music video because I am a director as well, and
Yes.
I envisioned it at this place. It's called Treasure Island in San Francisco, and I knew that the skate park was there, and I just thought it's an abandoned skate park, by the way, and I thought a symbol of love kind of refers to me kind of like a house, and that's why it was shot in an abandoned house as well. um, a relationship is like a house. You have to maintain it, take care
Right.
of it, make sure everything's up to date. And my relationship at the time was an abandoned house. It's a house that we're leaving. We don't live there anymore. It's not
Mm.
together. And the skate park was kind of just a resemblance of like old memories of
Wow.
past lovers that I've had who were skateboarders because I dated some skaters or whatever. Not that they like really broke my heart, but I thought it was such a cool idea to like, even though the song wasn't about like those ex-boyfriends, it was only specifically about one. I thought it was kind of cool, like, oh, like bring a skate park in because I've dated some skater boys,
Hmm.
why not just involve that too? Since we are talking about heartbreak, why not throw that in?
I love how every scene has an actual meaning to it, an actual message to it. It's just like people, how everybody has meaning in their life, even if they can't find it.
Right.
And I love how your song brings not necessarily brings meaning, but shares the meaning of your current heartbreak season.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank
Especially being so vulnerable, you
you.
know. So with that being said, you showing vulnerability with your music, like, what is your, I guess, what is your mission as an artist? Like, is your mission to, like, is it to show all the vulnerability? Is it show all the sides of you? Is it to be a role model? Are you doing this for you? Like, what is, like, the mission in doing this?
Yeah, my thing is I do it for me, and people just happen to watch.
Wow,
But
yeah.
it's really just for me. I've ever since I was a little girl, I've been super creative, and music is just another way to be creative. And also directing. I love directing. It's what I want to do when I'm older. If it's not a singer, I want to be a director, but a director first, before a singer. So I really just do it for me. I do it to remind myself that I it's okay to be vulnerable sometimes. Right. Listening to those songs that I make about like heartbreak, one day I can look back at those and be like, hey, remember that time that I was really sad over this person? Well, dang, look at me now. I can make a happy song now. Or, oh, it's fun to, it's like instead of keeping like diaries, I have songs.
Right.
Yeah. So it's really for me, but I also want to inspire people my age to just go out and be creative. Like, this world is just so programmed to graduate, go to school, and then work a 9 to 5 for your rest of the life. Like, be creative, Yes. And people are scared to because, oh, I'm too young. Like, no, look at me. I'm 19 years old. I'm directing my own music videos. I'm editing people's music videos. I'm doing music. It's like, I just want to show people to be creative because that's when your true self comes out. For me, anyways.
For sure. No, I totally believe in everything that you're saying. You know what I mean? I believe in everything that you're saying because the way my mindset is in life is you have one life and then you have the afterlife. All right. For whoever is listening and they don't really know my background, I'm a Jesus person. You're a Jesus girl, and it's awesome. We're gonna talk about faith later and how that plays into it. But I do believe in an afterlife. I do believe in eternal destinations. And the way I look at this temporary life, because this life is fleeting. Okay, this life is gonna and sooner rather than later, as quicker than we think it is.
Right.
I look at this life and I say I don't want to save anything for the next life. I don't want to walk into my eternal destination, my eternal place, and be like, I could have done more. I could have started that business. I could have started this organization. I could have wrote this. I could have impacted here. I could have done this. I don't want to walk into nirvana, into my place of rest, into peace. I don't want to walk into heaven, into utopia. I don't want to walk into a place where I'm looking back and saying, I still have something in my hand.
Yeah, that's powerful. I agree with that.
That's my heart. I look at this as nothing's wasted. Nothing's wasted. Vulnerability, transparency. Some people, when they talk to me, they're like, for example, a previous guest, Timothy Joel, I love him so much. He's a brother. He was like, dude, when I first met you, you were so vulnerable and transparent, and I just met you like 5 seconds prior, and you're telling me your life story. And I'm like, I mean, my response to that is, number one, I have nothing to hide. I'm an open book. But number two, if the Bible says God uses all things work together for the good to them who love God, Romans 8:28, to them who are called according to his purpose. If God can use all things, then why can't I be like my creator and use my story? Ooh. The good, the bad, the ugly, the painful, the things that I am like not proud of. If I can use my story to be like, hey man, this is where either I am, which I am like, so first of all, I respect you so much for that. I think I've said it 100 times on the podcast for sharing who you are, but even more so of you're being transparent where you're at. Talk to me, where does faith come into that aspect?
I just like going through what I'm going through now.
Right.
It's faith is definitely like, it has to be there, because in this time of heartbreak,
Right.
and you know, you're so heartbroken that you kind of just, the devil loves to tell you lies, like, oh, you're never gonna find love, you know, all the lies that Satan got to say.
Right.
But that's where faith comes in, where it's like, no, even though I'm heartbroken, one day I trust God that I'm gonna get better, that I'm gonna find somebody who's gonna love me, that I'm gonna find the perfect person for me, because God designed people to be together, you know.
Yes.
Where there's Adam, there's Eve. You know, it wasn't just Adam and it wasn't just Eve. So one day, you know, I am going to find that somebody, even if it's not with this person and I want it to be. I just have to have faith that if God wants us to be together, he's going to let us be together if his will is done. But if it's not his will, then don't try to make it your will. Like, there's a reason why God doesn't want you with that person. And
stop right there. Everybody watching or listening to this podcast, tweet what she just said. All right, tweet it, write it down, get a tattoo, do something. All right, what she said was powerful, powerful, powerful. Keep going, keep going. That was deep. Keep going.
Yeah, and at this time, I just had to really take a dive into what faith is and how to use it. It's definitely not easy, but I think that having faith is so worth it, because you're just having a positive outlook on what the future holds, and we don't know the future, but having faith means that you're trusting God to create that future for you and not let the devil tell you a bunch of lies. So
no, you're hitting the nail on the head, because walking through life, first of all, as I think they're calling us Generation Z. I don't know what they're calling us now. I think the previous generation was the millennials. Now I don't know. We're called something, but whatever this generation is, it's a lot. Excuse me, COVID Chronicles. It's a lot harder to just dial in faith and say, all right, I'm going to have faith for this situation, because we live in a day and age where we don't have to trust God for a lot of things, especially in America. We don't have to trust God to put food on the table, because a lot of us as Americans, we have food in our refrigerator. You know, some of that food is going to waste. You know, we don't have to trust God to keep a roof over our head, because most of us in America, we live in a house or an apartment. You know, we don't have to trust God to provide the right people in our life. We have Instagram for that, on who to follow. You know, you know, you know, follow Daft Dutra on Instagram. Glory to God. You know, but you know, we don't need to trust God for every single detail, like maybe people 200-300 years ago needed to. But now, when you're trying to apply faith in your life, it's not just, God, I'm trusting you for the small things, but God, I'm trusting you to never leave my side.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trusting you that when my heart breaks, a broken heart has no better place than in the hand of God.
Oh yeah, I could be the testimony for that.
And I've been there with you, where you needed moments with the Holy Spirit, where you needed guidance in that perspective. But talk to me a little bit. How are you now, as a human being, as an artist, as Nadia? How are you now?
I'm in a very closer relationship with God, I think, than I've ever been before. Mm-hmm. And I'm very happy that I went through the things that dragged me down so low, to the point where my last resort was God. And I'm so happy that I went through those things, because I've never really studied the Bible, but now I'm like in my Bible. I love doing Bible study with just myself. Like, you know, it's cool to do it with the group and stuff, but I love to do it by myself, and I write down little notes. And if there's something that really touches me that day, like from the Word, I love to share it on Instagram, on my stories. Mm-hmm. because I think that is such a beautiful word. I'm just like, I have to share this with everybody. I'm slowly falling in love with myself. I just kind of forgot who I was. You know, I think people are scared to fall in love with themselves because there's a negative stigma, like, oh, she has a big ego, or you know, conceited or whatever. But I think there's a difference between like being full of yourself and then being full of yourself. You know, there's two different perspectives of that. I'm just very grateful as to like I'm not trying to be like, oh, look at me, but I am so valuable and I'm so worthy.
Yes.
I'm a woman of many talents, and I'm just starting to realize. I just ask God, like, God, I'd love to see me from your point of view, like, you know, because God has all of us. He sees us through our flaws, and He still has a reason to love us. Mm-hmm. I remember asking God one day, I was like, I'd love to see me, you know, like how you see me, God, and I think that's playing out now because I'm just slowly but surely falling in love with myself and my personality. I'm finally learning how to be alone, which is something that I struggle with a lot because I have to have a friend by my side. I have to have my brothers, or I have to be with a significant other. But now I'm just like, it's just me and God. I'm not perfect, you know. Some days I get really, really lonely, but I'm so happy that I'm not where I was before. So Nadia now is a much more brighter and happier, and I would say a more woman of God than she's ever been.
I love how you are learning how to be independent.
It's a struggle. It's a struggle, let me tell you.
No, seriously though, because a lot of people in our demographic, we don't know how to not date somebody, or we don't know how to not slide in the DMs. We don't know how to not.
All my Instagram followers, they know all of my boyfriends. Okay, I've always had. If I was not single for more than 2 seconds, honey. I dated somebody for 2 hours once. I went to Walmart, came back, they broke up with me, said they couldn't do it anymore, whatever.
Wow.
But it's like I've never really been alone, and so for this to like. I guess we'll get into like my previous relationship, the one that I'm going through right now, that breakup later. But yeah, it's crazy. But I'm learning to be alone, and that's when you really fall in love with yourself. I think is when you have alone time and you're in your dark space in your mind, and I don't know. I think that's just I love myself more, being independent.
That was one of my biggest prayers when I rededicated my life to God about 6.5 years ago, which is
maybe 6.5 minutes ago.
Yeah, that too. It's you know, I choose Him every day, sometimes every minute. All right. You know, Christian jokes 101. You know, they're so corny. But about 6.5 years ago, maybe I think it was actually 7. I could be wrong. Whatever. But I was praying, and I prayed and I asked the Lord. I said, God, help me see me as you see me. Because the way I see me right now, here's how most of my prayers were when I first rededicated my life to God. Because I thought I was supposed to pray this way. My parents didn't teach me this. My pastor didn't teach me this. Nobody taught me this. I thought that I was supposed to pray this way. God, I'm a terrible human. God, I suck. God, I'm evil. God, I'm this. God, I'm that. I am trash. I am worthless. I am, you know. I thought that in order for God to love me, I have to bring myself down. That's what I thought for like the first like 8 months of walking with Jesus. I thought that I had to bring myself down. And then God one day showed me, I can't remember if it was through a sermon or if it was through conversation with somebody. It wasn't through one-on-one time, but it was through somebody else. And He showed me this. He said, it does not honor me. This person said, it does not honor God when you trash yourself. Because what you're doing is you're trashing His creation. And God never makes trash. He always creates treasure.
Get hot. I love God.
So I love how you are learning to love yourself. All right, I love how you're learning to love yourself, because I had to walk through that. A lot of other people had to walk through that on learning how to love ourselves. Because when God looks at humanity, he does not look at trash. He's not looking at trash. He's not saying this human is a terrible human. No, what he's looking at is, this is my creation. I created you in my image. You're in
Yeah.
my image. Now, when you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh my God, I'm ugly today. Like, no, you're not ugly. You're not ugly. You're beautiful, because God does not create ugly things. He creates
Yeah.
beautiful pieces, works of art. I think I think that's why when I look at a lot of the stuff that you do and listen to a lot of the songs that you do, is because you're not your typical artist that tries to copy another sound, but you're trying to create your own sound.
Yeah. Thank you. That's so reassuring to hear, because I don't want to be like everybody out there.
Right.
I know that sometimes I'll show my dad something and he'll be like, "Oh, can you like not do this much like effect on this vocal?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm not gonna change it. Like I love it. It sounds good to me." I'll release a song that like I know everybody hated like this little Frank Ocean cover that I did, and everybody hated it because it was just I was just playing around with like vocal effects and I did strictly auto tune and then background choir. And to me, it's the most beautifulest song probably I've ever created, and I love it so much. And everybody just hates it. Like there's too much auto tune, there's too much effects and choir, like, but I just never like I don't take that and be like, oh yeah, I put it down. Like no, I love it, and that's all that matters. Like I'm so in love with that song, and I think it's a fun song too because I was like playing with auto tune and dabbling around with like reverb and messing with choir, and it to me it sounds beautiful, and I can't imagine making music for other people to please other people. You know, if I think it sounds.
Totally. No, sorry, you cut out for 2 seconds. So for all of our viewers, this is COVID Chronicles with an iPad, and cheap Wi-Fi. So forgive any connection issues. No, but I love that you create for yourself, because when you're constantly creating for others, here's how I've always looked at it. If you live for the praise of others, you're gonna die by the opinion of others when they don't like what you do.
Yeah.
You have to like what you do. Matter of fact, you don't just have to like, you have to love what you do. You have to love what you're putting out. You have to love what you're creating. And I think that's what makes you such a special artist and such a special human being, is that you take after God because you're such a creative person. Because God creates beautiful things, and when I look at something, I'm like, man, that ain't all that. Someone else looks at something like, it's all right. God is like, I didn't create them for you. I created them for me. I'm delighted in them. So I think that's how you're so godlike in that way, which is so awesome.
Thank you.
Talk to me a little bit about, as we're winding down, talk to me a little bit about, because you mentioned earlier that you want to dive into a little bit about your recent relationship. What did that relate? What was, if you can put a number one on it, what was the number one lesson you learned within that relationship?
That I love being innocent. I I was talking about this on Instagram the other day. I shared a quote from the book of Matthews, and it's really about protecting your innocence because, you know, I want to wait till marriage. I don't smoke and I don't drink, and but being in a relationship, you know, waiting till marriage is a huge factor for me. I don't want to do any sexual activities unless it's with my husband, and that's just the number one thing that I learned is like I love the fact that I'm innocent. I love the fact that I am gonna wait till marriage. You know, I don't have to be like everybody else. And it also really taught me to just be alone. You know, don't depend on somebody else to make you happy. Because if you're depending on somebody to make you happy, once they leave, you're done for. You know?
Right.
So that's really what it taught me. But the number one is I'm very happy that I'm innocent, you know,
And
or at least try to be.
Cause Nadia
Watches this, I am okay, but it's teenagers.
No, I mean, no, it's not easy. It is not easy saying
No,
no.
it's not. It's so not easy, especially when you just love somebody so much and
Yes.
you just like, oh my gosh, I love you, like I'll do anything for you, and I don't know, you just kind of lose yourself a little bit when you love a little too hard. You start to lower your values and your standards because you don't want to lose that person, God forbid.
Right.
So you do everything in your power to make them happy and whatever will get them to stay. And so, yeah.
Honestly, I feel like that's one of the biggest, if there was a theme for this, it was don't compromise your creativity and don't compromise yourself. Like, the fact that your last relationship taught you that you wanted to prioritize your sexual purity, your innocence, and who you are as a person before you let go of somebody else. It's like, I'd rather let you go before I let myself go.
Right.
That is like, my goodness. I'm glad that we are learning that lesson now. Because if we don't learn this lesson now, by the time we're 30, 40, 50, and we haven't learned that lesson, go, we screwed up.
Ooh, the therapy we be in. Oh.
My goodness. As we close this thing out, if you could, and I try my best to ask this to every guest that I have on here, and I wanted to ask this to you specifically. First of all, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It means so much to me. I've been trying to get you on for a little bit, but I, got COVID,
Yeah. I'm a little bit busy with the Grammys and it's crazy.
You're busy with your fans. You're busy with the people. You're busy creating. You're coming out with a new song soon, right? Is that what's happening?
EP. Yeah, Rosewater.
An EP. Wow, I'm looking forward to that. Is it gonna be everywhere? Spotify, iTunes. Is it gonna be everywhere? What's going on?
It's just gonna be on YouTube.
Okay. Hey, that works. Well, I have YouTube Red, so it's on my playlist now. All right. So what I wanted to ask you, is if you can give, I guess, this is your moment. I'm not gonna cut you off. This is your moment. If you can give any life lesson, advice, or anything to artists out there, to people who are up and coming, people who are desiring to try, because it's a big thing just to try to do something.
Right.
It's not just a big thing to put it out, but it's a big thing just to put pen to paper and to try.
Yeah.
What would you tell people who are looking for the strength to start?
Don't limit yourself. Don't put yourself in a box or in a category or whatever kind of music you're doing. Don't feel like just because you're rapping doesn't mean that you can't switch to doing gospel or you can't switch to doing rock. I mean, for me, for the EP Rosewater, it's not out yet, but it's like very magical and strings kind of sounds. If I wanted to throw a heavy metal song into it, I will do it. Don't restrain yourself. Let your creativity run wild, and most importantly is fun. I know that sometimes in class it's good to take things serious, but don't take it too serious to the point where you lose yourself and you forget why you started. Have fun with it. Don't listen to other people's opinions. Only listen to their opinions if it benefits your art. Like, hey, you could do this better, or if you change this, it'll sound a little bit better. But if you feel like it's something that you don't need to change and you love it, keep doing it. Don't let people tell you how to do your art. That art is you. It's not nobody else's creativity but yours. So don't let anybody tell you how to do it. That's up to you.
That was honestly. Go ahead.
Do it in a God-honoring way. Don't forget about the Lord. Talent to uplift the kingdom of Jesus, or just that I'm also in the process of learning. So.
Nadia, I love you so much. Thank you for coming on and for taking time out of your busy schedule from your day job, your night job, your creative job, your every job. Thank you. This means a lot to all of our guests, all of our listeners to this conversation. You can follow her on her socials. We will have her Instagram and all of her socials down below, her YouTube down below, especially a link to her latest single up until her EP comes out. We love you guys. If you feel in your heart that you love what we do, there will be a link down below to our website. That way you can donate to this podcast because equipment can get a little expensive sometimes, So I love you guys. Thank you for listening. Please rate and review. Nadia, see you soon. Love you.
Yeah.
Peace.